Alright, so got a new video. It's going to be a continuation of my week 1 strategy for Path of Exile, like what I'm doing week 1 and all that kind of stuff. In the last two videos we covered my league starter and my heist transition, like what I'm doing in heisting and all that kind of stuff, and touched a little bit on maps, I think. This one is going to be about when I re-roll to Armor Stacker. When do I re-roll to Armor Stacker? What items do I want to have before I do that, and how do I level? Okay, so touch on mapping a little bit. So I do try to push as far into maps around day 3 with the League Starter on the Inquisitor Hex Blast without having to upgrade. So I don't want to buy upgrades. The only thing I buy is like the weapon, and then I'll buy the ring and the belt maybe, and then I'll save up on day 1 and buy the Aegis Aurora, and that's pretty much all the upgrades I buy. Like the Aegis Aurora can be kind of expensive day 1, but I'm going to use it on the Armor Stacker anyway, so I don't mind buying that upgrade. Basically anything that my Armor Stacker can use, then I'll buy, and I'll use it on the Inquisitor, but I'm not actually going to be upgrading his gear all that much. Mostly just using stuff that I find in the heists that I don't really want to sell. Okay, so let's go over some of the gear I want to have, and before I am upgrading or swapping over to the Scion. Okay, so this is the Armor Stacker Compendium I made last league for 3.21, and I'll probably be updating it or making a new one depending on how much changes for Armor Stacker for the next league. But here there's a lot of useful information here, gems and gear and all that kind of stuff. So let's go take a look at all of the gear. So I'm generally buying pretty much everything. Let's just see real quick. So I'm buying the sword, the shield, the Alpha's Howl to start off with. I'll buy a Dorani's prototype and I'll 5-link it myself. I'm not going for a 6-link just yet. I'll probably do a 6-link on a second copy that I buy later on, and I'll corrupt it and then link it with Tainted Fusings. Okay, Shaper's Touch, buy these. The March of the Legion, will buy these. And the Eternal Struggle can be a little bit expensive early on. There actually really isn't any, actually till like, what, day 4 maybe? Day 3, day 4, when people actually start getting to this boss, farming him. Or not farming him, but, doing the quest and all that kind of stuff, right? So, until then, I'm actually using the Jinx Juju amulet. If I can't find this, and this happened this league, I couldn't actually find a good Eternal Struggle, and it was like, oh, my character was ready and I didn't have an amulet, so I just bought the Jinx Juju. And so I'm just this is just kind of like a backup amulet. I usually don't really buy this before I level up, so I'll just level up even if I don't have the amulet, and then worst case scenario I'll just buy the Jinx Juju. Okay, rare rings, these two I'm usually buying these before I swap. You do want to have some good rings, and pretty important that you make a blank PoB for your character. You put in your talent points, all that kind of stuff, right? And then maybe your auras and all that kind of stuff, right? And then when you buy these rings, you got to make sure that you're going to be capped on res, because this is where you're going to get a lot of your resistance. So just copy the ring in from trade, paste in your PoB, paste both the rings you're going to buy. So like buy them at the same time, preferably. And yeah, just make sure that you don't get into the situation where you buy your rings, and then when you put all the gear together, it's like you're missing resistance and you gotta go buy another ring, because that's gonna really suck, right? Alright, so String of Servitude, buying this as well. I'll buy all my flasks as well before I re-roll, especially the Ruby Flask. I'm going to be buying the Thread of Hope, the large Thread of Hope. Now this can be pretty pricey as well, so save up quite a bit of money for this. Melding in the Flesh too, I'll be buying this. And Brutal Restraint, I'm just actually buying anything that has just like, even if it's just 8% aura effect in the beginning, it doesn't really matter. I mean, if you can get a good one early on, that's great, but if you can't find a good one or they're too expensive, then just find anything that has, some aura effect on it and just buy that. Okay, rare jewels. These also, I want to get a Corrupted Blood Jewel, definitely. And then, just anything that will help you cap your resistances if you need it. And then the reduced mana cost of skills. So if you can't get rings with an open prefix and no mana roll. So you can craft on the 5% reduced mana cost of skills. If you can't get rings like this, then you're going to have to get it on the jewels. So usually I try to get on the rings because it's a lot easier to, maybe not easier, but it's a lot nicer to have, right? So you could focus your jewels on just like resistances, maybe even damage, right? Okay, so then I'm buying my lightning clusters and my shield cluster. You know, sometimes I might not be able to get the perfect roll, so it doesn't really matter. I'll just buy cluster jewels because you need the cluster jewels to get your mana reservation jewels, right? Okay, and then after that, buying all of these clusters. These do take a little bit of time to buy, but you know, doing your heists are going to be generating a lot of chaos, so you can just, you know, buy these whenever you find them cheap. I don't really craft the large ones if I can. Like, if I can find, you know, if I can find these on trade, then I'll just buy them pre-crafted to save on alterations. Because we're not really doing maps and all that kind of stuff, so you're not getting that many alterations. So I want to save all my alterations to craft these small clusters, because these are going to eat up quite a bit of alterations. I do craft the small ones because it is, yeah, it's kind of expensive to buy introspection small clusters early on, and yeah, anyways, just craft these. Okay, now what gems do we need? So I guess Vol Smite. I might buy a Vol Smite for like 1 chaos at level 1, so I can like you know, use it while I'm leveling. Either that, or if I did find or buy a cheap Phantasmal Smite, I'll just use that. And then I do buy the Anomalous Increased Duration and Divergent Inspiration. So these two I'm buying. You pretty much need these gems, so you can't run the build anyways, so buy these. All of these, you know, if I can find the alternate quality ones, great, then I'll use them, but if not, I'll just use normal gems. Okay, so how do I level the Scion? And well, there is quite a few good guides on how to level Scions with like Hollow Palm and all that kind of stuff. This video will just show what I'm doing in case people are interested. I do things a little bit differently than most guides or what other people do, but I'll link this document in the description as well. This is a Smite Twink leveling guide. It's not really mine. This kind of goes over, it gives you like PoBs and all that kind of stuff for every class, which is very nice, right? So it's got updated PoBs. It's got like what gems to use, what flasks and all that kind of stuff, right? So that you can use that if you want. This is sort of something I just threw together today real quick. And we'll go over what I am doing. So first of all, we're going all the way down to the first cluster jewel slot so we can put in our Hollow Palm. Oh, actually, before we do this, let's go over some of the gear I buy for leveling. So you don't really need that much gear for leveling. You pretty much only need the one with nothing, small cluster jewels, so you get Hollow Palm, right? And the rest is just kind of bonus, right? Bonus stuff. But a lot of it is very cheap, like having a tabula is nice. They're not that expensive. You should be able to afford this once, you know, if you're doing heist. You probably even find a few of them. Everything can be resold, so that's pretty nice. Okay, after that, you know, there is only a couple of things I would say that I would like to have, and that's going to be the Carnage Heart. It gives you a lot of attributes. I get some Lee Hoop rings for some resistances. And then the Gnomic Storm boots are pretty nice. They got a lot of dex. They have about 40% movement speed if you're on full energy shield, which, I mean, it's not really like all the time, but it is up quite often. I do like to use the Onslaught helmet instead of the gold rim. All of these items are pretty much all just 1C. So I only buy them for 1C, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5C. Right, and then Prismatic Prism Weave, right? So pretty cheap belt, a lot of like mixed damage, some resistances. So pretty nice belt, right? You can also use the Parandus Blazon belt, which has 30 to all attributes. But, you know, just some very basic 1C gear that I'm using. Alright, so let's go over some of the gems that I'm using. First of all, we'll go over the Smite link. So we got the Vol Smite. Ruthless. This one is a little bit questionable. I'm not questionable, it's pretty good damage, but with this one, faster attacks and multi-strike, let's just see. So When you're leveling, you're pretty much just going to be one-tapping the packs. You're going to smite once and everything's going to die. So you don't really actually need multi-strike, or, you know, I guess Ruthless does, you know, on the third strike you will get it, but it's not super consistent, right? So what you could do is you could actually use physical to lightning. It's going to give you quite a lot of damage. You can also use the melee physical damage, but this does give you less attack speed, so I don't usually like it. It is pretty good for damage. But yeah, let's just see real quick. So Ruthless, added fire, ancestral call, elemental damage with attacks, and then faster attacks or multi-strike, whichever one you want. Like I said, you're going to be one-tapping the packs. You're not really going to be attacking 3 or 4 times, you know. Maybe on bosses this multi-strike is a bit nicer, but it's really up to you and what you know, what feels good for you. Okay, yeah, and then physical to lightning, you could swap out Ruthless for this, or since we are taking the Tribal Fury, if you're just fine with just having 1 extra strike, then you can go Fizz Lightning for some extra damage. Then maybe even just put multi-strike in, you got some nice damage. Yeah, other than that, maybe take out Ruthless for that and keep Ancestral Call. It's really up to you. So that's the Smite links. For our auras, I like to run Purity of Elements. You could either run Grace or Determination, but then you'd have to kind of figure out your resistances. Now, one thing to note is I'm usually not actually completing the campaign. So, I mean, I'm completing the campaign after I've re-rolled from my leveling setup to the armor stacker. So, I'll be doing Hollow Palm all the way up to Kitava, and then I'll just be farming Blood Aqueducts, right? So, technically you don't really need Purity of Elements. You can run Determination, but then you got to worry about freeze and all that kind of stuff, right? So I just like Purity of Elements. It's very simple, takes care of a lot of problems. Okay, and then we got Herald of Ash. It's going to be a lot of damage. We're doing a lot of overkill. And then Clarity. You can get rid of Clarity once you get enough mana regen and all that kind of stuff, and maybe put in like Vitality, a low-level Vitality. Then after that, you could get like Blood Rage, you can get Elemental Weakness, you know, you can even get Arcanist Brand and maybe do like a Hydrosphere kind of thing. Whatever, you have another 2 extra sockets or something. Pretty flexible with the links. You only get your helm, boots, and armor for links because we're not using gloves or a weapon, so you are very short on links, but you don't really need that much. Okay, so let's go over the tree. First of all, like I said, we're going all the way down to the Hollow Palm technique, so we can actually start using this. And before I use this, I'm just leveling up with anything. You can do like Toxic Rain, Caustic Arrow, or Holy Flame Totem, or you know, what have you. Pretty much just use what you're comfortable with until you get to this, and then we'll swap over to Smite. I go all the way down to get the Precise technique, so it's going to give you quite a bit of damage. You do have to keep your accuracy rating above your health. You can't really see it in PoB, but if you're in game, there'll be like you can look in your stats. There'll be like accuracy rating, right? Just make sure that you have enough accuracy rating that are more accuracy rating than your health. I like to go get the. I guess you don't really need Graceful Assault anymore because we're using the Thrill Steel, right? But I like to get the Mana Leech first of all. If I'm having trouble with Mana Leech early on, I'll actually just spec all the way down to Spirit Void, and that should be enough. And then I'll get some extra dex, get the Tribal Fury, get the extra accuracy, get Unwavering Stance so you can't get stunned. And then the Ambidextrous, very nice too, because we do count as dual wielding while using Hollow Palm. And I do like this, what do you call it, evasion and phasing node, so we get some phasing, we get some more movement speed. And then recently I've started taking this Disciple of the Slaughter, because I mean we're coming down this way anyways. Just give us frenzy charges and all that kind of stuff. That's pretty nice. And then maybe some aura reservation so we can fit in our auras. Get some accuracy. If you really need more accuracy, you can go for the 500 accuracy rating and then -2 accuracy per level. There is also accuracy and resistance up here, which is pretty nice. And yeah, maybe just get some life too, you know. You don't really need that much life until you start to do labs, and that's going to, well, I guess we'll get into lab next. So lab is really annoying on Scion, because basically your first lab you get nothing, right? We get some strength and dex, and then we get 1 extra passive point. So the first lab, you're not going to get anything. Second lab, you'll get champion, and then you'll get this 1 extra passive point, right? So, and the second lab, second lab is pretty easy with just like 1.2k life and this amount of damage. So the third and fourth lab is where it gets a little bit annoying, especially the third lab. Can get pretty rippy if you only have this much life. So I recommend just farming up some levels. This is only level 54 Scion, so you have quite a few levels to go. You should be a little bit higher, I guess, right? Just go get some life. Just get some levels, get some life. Make sure as you increase your life, you increase your accuracy as well, so you don't lose your damage. Since we're using a tabula, we can use this 15% more life. And that's level 60. You know, if you have enough life, if you're comfortable with this life, go to your third lab. I always just ask one of my friends to carry me. So yeah, so once you get this one, you'll get this point and you'll come up here. And then from here, you can actually start pathing here up to this place here. And then I guess you don't really have to respec just yet. But I like to connect the dots early. And then with my remaining points, I'm usually fine with this amount of life. So I'll just start going up, you know, and getting some more movement speed. And just slowly working my way up to the Chaos Inoculation and starting to actually build my armor stacker tree so I can save on respecs. And if, yeah, so I'll do my third lab. Once I do my third lab, I'm pretty comfortable to swap over to the armor stacker once I have enough levels, and that's usually going to be around, yeah, like 72-ish, 70, 72, 74. Somewhere around there, I am actually swapping over to armor stacker, and yeah, and then just like respecing all this whole part here. Just get rid of this, and put iron reflexes in, you know, get rid of the jewel, get rid of this. Get rid of these. Might need the dex still, actually. Alright, and then you can just like get rid of all of this stuff. And then just actually start speccing your tree. And if you're doing heist, then you should actually have enough Orb of Regrets. You do get quite a few Orb of Regrets in the heist. Yeah, so that's kind of something like this, right? We'll go here, we'll get the aura stuff. Get the aura stuff, and we still have quite a few levels, but the rest of these points are all going to be going into the cluster jewels and all that kind of stuff first. So yeah, we'll get our, you know, jewel sockets and all that kind of what have you, right? So that's kind of how I'm leveling and, you know, managing my tree. If you are having a problem with lab, then ask a friend to carry you through Uber Lab, or if you can't do that, worst case, you can hop in my Discord and ask someone there. Maybe someone could help you out. But yeah, lab can be pretty rough, especially the third lab is where it gets a little bit annoying because you have low life, damage isn't the best, and Izaro can like one-shot you. So, all right, so that's pretty much how I'm leveling. Sorry, there's no gameplay in this video, or maybe there will be. We'll see. But yeah, that's gonna be it for this one. And let's see. So, this series did end up taking a little bit longer than I think I would have hoped, I guess. So we did the League Starter, we did the Heisting, we did talked a little bit about maps, and yeah, after that we did our Scion reroll, and next one is going to be starting Simulacrum, like how I started, how I'm upgrading for Simulacrum, and all that kind of stuff. Anyways, thanks for watching, guys. See you next time.